It's been 5 years since a self-described white supremacist drove through a crowd of counter-protesters at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. One person was killed and dozens of others were hurt. When people saw the video of men holding tiki torches saying Jews will not replace us, many Americans were shocked. The violence prompted a national conversation about racism and First Amendment rights in the U.S.
Rabbi Rachel Smelkin says she has been experiencing anti-Semitism since she was just a girl, but was never more terrified than in August of 2017 in Charlottesville, Virginia, when a group of neo-Nazis and white supremacists marched with torches, chanting, "Jews will not replace us."
About 6 weeks after the Unite the Right rally, another incident happened that most people don't know about. A small group of neo-Nazis came back to Charlottesville carrying torches again, and they marched to a park 1 block away from my congregation. And I was at a Sukkot celebration with a number of Jewish community members. And I found out about this because fellow clergy in Charlottesville texted me. And what ended up happening was that pastors and people from the mosque and local activists showed up at the synagogue, and they stood around the perimeter of the synagogue while we finished our celebration. They really were looking out for us. And then several months later, when the horrific shooting in New Zealand happened, members of the Muslim community in Charlottesville were afraid. And the same thing happened. People from the Jewish community, atheists, Christians, pastors, we all showed up and we stood outside. We said to them, "I have your back." That's the other story of Charlottesville, was good people saying to one another, "We have each other's backs."
Pastor Tom Breeden says that day was a turning point for him, and through his friendship with Rachel, he began to understand the problem of anti-Semitism. Thank you for being here. Tom, thank you for being here. Tell me about that day.
As you said, hundreds of neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and white nationalists descended on Charlottesville, Virginia. They began to gather in the park that day, but things became so violent so quickly that the rally was actually disbanded before it even started. And what that meant was then the neo-Nazis and white supremacists were roaming the streets of Charlottesville, intimidating people, beating people up, shouting horribly racist and anti-Semitic slogans, and ultimately one of those ralliers, drove their car through a crowd of protesters, killing Heather Heyer, murdering her, and then injuring dozens of others.
When you hear her saying that, it really resonates with you.
Absolutely. I think, so I grew up in Charlottesville. It was home. It was also the place where I was serving as a pastor. And so I had a certain idea of what Charlottesville was like. And anti-Semitism was not on my radar as a problem. I knew maybe it was a problem in some places. It had been a problem in history, but not in Charlottesville. And so when that violence happened in 2017, it rocked me. Partly because it was happening in my hometown, but also because as a Christian, I was watching people drag Christian imagery and Christian language to justify those kinds of things, and just knew that couldn't be, that we needed something better than that. And so we had the chance to meet and help build something better than that.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.